Hi, it's Richard here from the PD. Just a really quick message. I've got a question for you that I wish someone had asked me this when I was in my early career. The question is, what's your default approach? In other words, what's the approach that you default to most of the time? All right, have a think about what it is. Then ask the question, does your default produce passive learners or active learners mostly? So let me give you my example. If someone had asked me that in my early years of teaching, what's your default approach? Well, it's stand and deliver. I give the instructions from the front of the class and I give good instructions and I expect students to copy what I tell them to do. What percentage of time do you use your default, Richard? About 95%. Does that produce passive or active learners, Richard? Can you explain to me the difference? Because I didn't know back then. I wish someone was around. I wish there was some PD like this that I could have done back then, because it would have been a wake-up and I could have changed much quicker. My answer would be 100% passive. Oh, okay, so I need to do less of that type of default and spend more time allowing students to be active in their learning. So that's my question for you. What's your default practice? How often do you use it? Does it produce passive or active learners? If it produces passive learners, that's okay. Don't freak out. Then the aim is, let's reduce the amount of time you spend using your default and increase the amount of time that students spend learning actively, grappling with concepts without procedures, thinking their way through, collaborating, sharing their understanding, communicating their understanding. I could have called this PD tweaking your practice so as your students learn less passively and more actively. It's not a 100% shift. You're always going to be doing some stand and deliver. You're always going to be requiring students to do some following of your instructions. Even the best teachers are still going to teach a mix, but we don't want students spending most of their time learning passively. But let's reduce the passive learning and increase the active learning. That's it. So that's my message. What is your default approach? And do you need to spend less time using that? Thanks for watching. Hope that's given you something to think about. Cheers.